Hello, my name is Brianna Payton, formerly Martin. In this presentation, I'm going to first present the university scenario, what kind of university this is, what is the problem, and then what is the solution to this problem. So here for this presentation, it's going to be about going remote and coming back to campus. Does our online school need a physical presence? First, about this presentation, it's going to be presented by the director of the School of Online Learning. The presentation is to the board of directors and the university president. So here is the university setting. It is a private liberal arts university. Majority of the student population is traditional on-campus students. There's a growing online school for both adults and graduate studies. The board and the president have stated the need for the growth of the online university. So the online university has lots of support and administration. The online university consists of enrollment counselors, advisors, full-time faculty, adjunct faculty, digital learning support, and other full-time staff. And it's important to know what makes up this school to understand the problem and then the solution. Here are some of the major key players. So you're going to have the provost. This is the provost for both the traditional undergraduate school and the online school. The HR director will need to be a part of this situation, the university president, and then you have the board of directors, which consist of 15 members. Okay, so now I'm going to get started on the presentation now that you have an understanding of the university setting. This presentation, going remote and coming back to campus, does our online school need a physical presence? Here's the current scenario for our university and specifically for our online school, what is happening when it comes to remote work. So the School of Online Learning has some very important goals, and you need to be able to understand the school goals and how, no matter whether it's on campus or remote or whatever that looks like, how we will always strive to meet those goals. And so those two big goals are support online learning for adult and graduate students, and to uphold the university's mission to provide a Christ-centered education to a diverse population of students. This last year, we saw a lot of remote work for everyone on campus. And so we see in March of last year, all students, faculty, and staff removed to an online platform and remote work. And then in August, we saw staff with the online school specifically transition back to the office, but with a limited amount of in-office days. And then in spring, we saw all online school staff completely back in the physical office. And so that's sort of what the last year has looked about. And even with all of these things for the last year, we were still able to meet those two goals. And so that's a little bit of the background of the scenario that we're going to look at. So the question is, why implement remote work? Why are we asking for this? Why is this a discussion that's being brought before the board and the president? And there's a couple reasons why. One, this is asking for remote work for online full-time staff, and that is so that we can provide more office space for the growing on-campus needs, because we know that there is a limited amount of space on campus, and we're running into some conflicts as we see our counseling area grow, and we see our leadership area growing. We're needing that space on campus for our traditional on-campus students. We'll also be needing more space if online stays fully on campus for the online school. That is also growing. We're going to need more enrollment counselors. We're going to need more advisors. We're going to need more staff and digital learning support. And so as we see the school growing, we're also going to be competing with those other traditional campus areas that also need the space. So it's thinking about what we have on campus versus new buildings or buying up real estate. What solution can we have so we're not having to go down those more expensive routes? And so that's one area of why we're going to look at implementing more remote time for the online school. Another area is because of the nature of the work. For online school, all the students and resources are online. They're worked through with online systems. We don't have students popping in to the offices as you might with other departments for our on-campus one. Our enrollment counselors meet primarily with students through Zoom, and even they do travel around a lot as well. And so we're just seeing the nature of our department, our school, is that it's a lot of mostly online work. This will also allow us to expand our pool of candidates. So in our region, we're in a small region in the United States. When it comes to hiring, it's hard to get people to convince them to go into this area, to move out to this area. So by allowing for some remote work or full remote work, that allows us to be able to pull in more candidates who might be able to fulfill what we really want and be able to get top candidates that we really desire. Also allowing for remote work supports better work-life balance. And so there's a healthiness to it that maybe staying at the university all the time for online work isn't necessarily the best. So that's why we want to implement it. Those are the different reasons. Those are the picture of why we want to implement it. And so here is what needs to happen. So we have this why, and this is why we're presenting to you. This is the situation going on. And so this is also when it comes to all this discussion about remote work and implementing it, that HR and the school and the board needs to approve a remote policy. And that's because there's an increased request for remote or hybrid remote work. And a policy would set a standard so everyone knows this is what's going on and this is what our university policy is on it. The goal would be looking at it more in two different kinds of policies, one for the online school and one for the traditional on-campus school, because both are reaching different students. They're both trying to meet the same goals and the same mission for the university, but with a different student body and different resources and different support systems. And so this policy for the online school, the one that's going to be presented as a solution, would be created by the HR director, provost, and then me, the director of online school. And so this will be one that all three of us in our different areas, knowing our different backgrounds and what really would look best for the university, will finalize and create the policy that will be presented to you. Today is the foundation of that policy. And then to have you guys approve the policy. So the board would approve this policy so that it can be set as a university standard. So why don't we get looked at the proposed solution in this policy that we're looking at? Once again, this is for the online school. If a standard needs to be put in place for on campus, I'll be primarily looking at the HR director and the provost looking for how that would work for our on-campus students. But here's the one for when it comes to our online school. So it's not going to be fully remote. This policy is not to say that we will have staff that are going to be fully remote at work. However, this is going to be a hybrid remote. So the online school will have a reduced physical presence on campus. And so that's to mean instead of taking up a footprint of 15 offices, or however many we might need in the future, we can take up one of 5 or 7. So we can reduce how many offices we have on the physical campus. The office will remain open with its current hours from 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. That's our current hours for our office, but there will always be someone in the office. So since there's always someone in the office, that means we can at least have a presence on campus, because we do understand there might be that adult learner who comes to our campus, or there might be a reason that if an on-campus staff member or faculty needs to come talk to someone. So there will be office hours here on campus still. And then the office will include at all times one enrollment counselor, one advisor, and then the other staff can be rotating. So our admin supports can be rotating, our digital learning can be rotating. And so that way we still have at least 5, maybe, people in office, 4 people in office. So there is a presence here. And then the others are working remotely. And this scheduling, this way that it'll look, would be determined by the supervisor. So if supervisors decide, how does that look on an actual day-to-day basis? The eligibility for this hybrid remote would be full-time staff. So this would not include any of our part-time staff. This would be full-time staff for the online school. It also wouldn't include adjunct faculty or full-time staff. They're already working fully remote since our courses are 100% offered online. They already work online. So none of their policy would be changed for any contracted faculty. To be able to have this policy and put it in place, we would want to set standards. And that's the part of having this policy to say, this is what can be done. This is what's approved to be done. However, these are the standards that we need to be followed. It's not to say that you're just not working. Remote does not equal not working. Not coming into the office doesn't mean not working. So to work remotely, employees must be able to have access to the systems, programs, and tools necessary to fulfill all job duties. And so that includes whatever systems might be on a laptop, internet access, whatever they need to have to work at their physical desk, they need to be able to have access to when working remotely. Supervisors must establish communication requirements and clear remote expectations. Whether that means you're checking in once a day, I can see you're on our Teams system quite regularly, I can have quick access to you, you have your phone next to you, whatever the supervisor deems needs to be established so that communication can be continued throughout the remote workday. For hourly employees that are full-time, pay will still be worked off their, will still be based off their regular work pay and will continue to log their hours. And so that means they are on the computer, they are ready to work at 8, 8:30, whatever their start date is, till 4, 4:30, whatever their end date is. They are still logging that time and they're still having that time when they're available and they're working and they're on the systems. Employees will follow and must meet the at-home office environment and technology that will be developed in the HR handbook. So that means that you have to have this internet speed. You must have a dedicated space that's in a home office environment. And so it's not to say if these things can't be met, they have to be met to be able to work remotely. And so these are the things, the standards that we would set in place to say, this is what we need for you to be able to have an at-home work environment. And so that is the policy that we are presenting for you, the board, to start thinking about, to be able to decide, is going forward with a remote policy and setting standards the best thing for the university? Is this what we need for our online school to be able to help in other areas, to be able to still reach the goal of online learning, but be able to do that with a less physical presence? I think that would be really good as our staff work from home on their remote days. We still have a physical presence on campus for the things that are needed, but it allows for, one, the online school to grow. It allows us to be able to say, we don't need to have 20 offices to have everyone. We can keep with our 5. And we can be able to pull in other people that can be able to do that. And then it opens up that space for our other growing areas of the university, while also meeting the same goals, the same mission, and being able to still hold ourselves to that high standard that we have established. And so this is what's being presented to you, and I hope you will take it with your consideration